This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 7 in the National Football League. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. AFC North family business at probably its most physical and violent. If Steelers-Ravens is the most notable rivalry in that division, Bengals-Steelers is the most physical of the rivalries in that division. These games can get really testy and physical really fast. And they always try to make something of nothing. They tried to get at Vontaze Burfict for kicking Nix, the fullback, after a play. I'm glad the league decided not to suspend him. That was not a suspendable offense. Leave the man alone. Yes, he didn't have to do it, but it happened. It's ticky-tack. Move on. Okay, there's nothing to see here. Move on. And so this was a game that early on went tit for tat. Pittsburgh started off the scoring, and Cincinnati says, whatever you can do, I can do better. They came down, scored a touchdown. Then Pittsburgh scored another touchdown, and Cincinnati said, hey, I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to be here. And so they scored a touchdown, and then after that, touchdowns in the game were done, and it was all field goals from there. And the Steelers banged home field goal after field goal after field goal to the tune of 5 straight field goals, 5 unanswered field goals in this game, winning it 29-14. And so we're still waiting for that outburst offensively from this Steelers football team. I don't know if it's coming. I said that last week. I thought I saw remnants of it in this game, but I didn't. And so I'm still not sure whether it's coming or not, but there's one thing for certain. Le'Veon Bell is the true difference maker on this foot. If they take Le'Veon Bell, if he gets injured, they're done. And that's so scary. When you rely so heavily upon one player, it really cripples you if anything were to happen. And that's what happens to the Steelers every postseason. They're wearing this man out. He's going to be tired at the end of the season. He's going to get injured. He's going to strain something, a groin, a hamstring. Something's going to be out of whack, because they aren't putting any limitations. You would have thought they had no backup running back. Like they didn't just go out and get James Conner. All right? You would have thought that there was no backup whatsoever on this roster, because even in garbage time, they're still handing this man the rock. This man had 35 carries in this game for 134 yards. This is the second game, if not third game, he's had north of 30 carries. No other back is getting that kind of workload in this league. We don't do that anymore in this league. You want 30 carries, you share it amongst 2 or 3 backs. You don't give it to one guy 34, 35 times. Who's doing that? And not to mention, oh yeah, he's still catching it another 4 or 5 times out of the backfield. I told you, they're going to get their money's worth out of Le'Veon Bell. And then when it comes time for contract negotiations, they're going to look at him and say, hey, you got quite a bit of tread off the tire there, buddy. Yeah, I don't know if you're worth that kind of money anymore. They're going to use this man up, and that's not how the Pittsburgh Steelers organization operates normally. But this seems a little fishy to me. I know he's a guy that you depend on heavily, but really, 35 carries? There was another game earlier in the season, like 33, 34 carries. For a guy that didn't have any preseason, no offseason work with this team. Wow. They are really using the hell out of Le'Veon Bell. But that being said, boy, is he a weapon. I don't blame them. Man, is this guy a weapon. He can catch it. I mean, he can damn sure run it with the best of them. And he is such a true threat every time he touches the football. His patience is next level. We talk about the same stuff with him all the time. I don't need to reiterate that. This guy's he's a marvel. You just look at him and you marvel at what he is capable of doing on the football field. And he did it again in this football game as he helped lead the Steelers to a 29-14 victory over over the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll talk about the Steelers and the Bengals here in a second, but first, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I've got a number of social media platforms that I am a part of. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook, there's YouTube, all of which have links to them that help you stay in sync and in tune to what's going on this channel. And so go in the description where all those links can be found and start becoming comfortable with those. And by all means, follow me on all of those platforms, like those pages, and so you can be in sync with what's going on. Also, in that description will be those links in front of you to ways to donate to this channel via Patreon or PayPal. And so both of those links that you see before you on the screen are also down in the description in the video box below. So check those out. If you can donate, please do. Every donation helps, no matter how big or small. I am so appreciative of them all. And this channel, I'm trying to do big things with this channel. And the best way that I can do that is through you, the viewers, having contributions to the movement. And so I appreciate you guys for being such loyal viewers. And I would appreciate even more if you were able to donate. If you can't, all I ask is that you continue to support this channel the way that you always have, by watching, liking, and sharing these videos amongst your friends, family, and others. So that being said, let's talk about the Steelers in this game quickly. Ben Roethlisberger was solid. He wasn't great. Still missing some throws that we've come accustomed to him hitting. But I feel like he's getting close. That slant that he threw to Antonio Brown for a touchdown, that was old Ben. That was Big Ben-esque, if you will. Hasn't been making that type of throw this season. Has been missing that kind of throw quite a bit. And so I see flashes, but he's not there yet. Le'Veon Bell is the catalyst for this offense. He's the machine. He's the engine that makes this offense go. He's the engine that drives this Steelers machine known as their offense. You take him out of their lineup, they got no chance. Right now, with the way that they're running their offense, they got no chance. And so he was huge in this game. And there's some rumblings about Big Ten Martavis Bryant continuing to be disgruntled about his role on the offense and how he called out of work. They had a meeting today. He called out sick amid rumors that he wants out. I don't know if the two are directly correlated or not, but if this guy becomes a headache, you've got a number of options, none which are limited to going to Terrell Owens, Keyshawn Johnson route. Hey, go home. We're not paying you. Get out of here. You could also say, hey, you want out? Okay, here's out. And you can trade him. Get something for him. There are ways to handle this, but the one thing you do not want to happen is to allow this guy to be a distraction in your locker room. All right, this is not a Steelers football team that can afford to have that kind of distraction. They're not good enough offensively like they have been in the past. And with that being said, you need to make sure you keep these types of distractions as far away from your football team as possible. I trust Mike Tomlin will do the right thing, and he's great at keeping these distractions to a minimum. So we'll see how he handles this whole situation. Bottom line is, Steelers offensively right now, they're a one-man show, two-man show with A.B. and L.B. right now, for me. If it's not Brown, it's Bell. And Ben needs to insert himself and bring the killer bees back. And when he does that, this Steelers team is going to become that much more dangerous. Defensively, you won't find a better front seven in this league. I'm convinced that their front seven is as good as it gets. They've got speed, they've got power, they've got pass rushers. They can drop into coverage with the best of them. You won't find a better. Go look around the league. Go search high and low, far and wide. You won't find a better front seven. This Steelers defense is legit. And Joe Hayden was the missing piece. He was the missing link. Because you could always exploit the Steelers in the secondary. Always. Because their corners weren't ever guys that scared you. Okay? Now with Joe Hayden in the mix, they've got a legit guy out wide that can hold his own, which allows them to do some creative things coverage-wise, back-end-wise, allows them to bring some pressures, allows them to bring a safety up. and not have to worry about both sides. They can get really exotic with what they do now defensively because they got a corner that can hold it down, and their front seven is phenomenal. I thought their front seven was the difference defensively in this game. They were outstanding. Andy Dalton didn't stand a chance, especially in the second half. When they turned the dogs loose, they were chasing him all around the field. He was running for his life. He didn't stand a chance. He did not stand a chance. Now, I think you can run on the Steelers. We saw the Bears do it. I thought Joe Mixon had some really good runs at times in this game. You can run on this Steelers defense at times, but they're an aggressive bunch, and when they got it going, they're tough. Defensively, I think that's where they're going to separate themselves from the pack this year. Is in past years, it's been Steelers are the most explosive offense. If they get it revved up, it's hard to stop them, but you can stop a good offense. You can stop a good offense. What you can account for is a dominant defense, all in your face, all in your mix, coming after your quarterback, stopping the run game, being physical, being fast. They have everything you're looking for. And as far as I'm concerned, that's going to be what takes them where they want to go this season, is that defense. If they stay healthy with Watt and Dupree and Shazier and Tuitt and Hayward and all those guys, this is a group to be reckoned with. My goodness. They got talent over there, man. And it's starting to show. And I thought this was after the slow start with the 2 touchdowns given up, they turned the faucet completely off. Off, I tell you. That was impressive. You go to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I thought the start offensively to the game was nice. They got into a good rhythm offensively. They spread the ball around. LaFell gets a touchdown. You were able to get everybody kind of involved in the game. And it looked like it was going to be another one of these close affairs between these two teams that was going to come down to the wire. And you weren't able to keep up the consistency offensively throughout the remainder of the game. And some of that was your offensive line, which we know it can be a sieve at times. And it's been better of late because your offensive coordinator has done a much better job of getting the ball out of Andy Dalton's hands a lot quicker so that the pass rush doesn't get to him as soon. But, well, in that second half, it didn't work. And Andy was under siege, and he didn't have any time to do anything. And they were able to tee off on him, made him uncomfortable, and that puts you in a bad spot. And from a scoring perspective, it's tough to score when I didn't think you ran it enough, first of all, because I thought Mixon had some good runs. But when you don't have a good enough balance and your passing game isn't effective at all, and especially in the second half, it's tough to generate any kind of offense in this league. It just is. As far as your defense is concerned, I thought much like Pittsburgh's defense had a slow start, I thought your defense had a slow start, allowed the Steelers to move it down the field, get in the end zone. There was a bust in there with Juju Smith-Schuster getting behind the defense and getting in the end zone. But after that, I thought your defense was outstanding, and they gave you a shot in this game. This thing could have gotten out of control. The Steelers could have scored, 37, 40 points in this game. But the defense, they gave you a shot. They forced them to kick field goals all second half long. I'm going to tell you a guy that has jumped off the screen at me, William Jackson III. Boy, he looks like a playboy. He looks like a player. I tell you what, he looks like a number one corner in this league. I've seen quite a few young boys that are looking like number one corners for their teams. And William Jackson III looks the part of a number one corner in this league. That young fella is playing some football. And he was on my radar ever since the pick six of Aaron Rodgers. But I thought he was outstanding in this game. You give up 30-some-odd, possibly 40-some-odd points, if not for William Jackson III in this game. He was outstanding. And I'm going to tell you right now, if he continues to play the way that he's playing, and you can get Kirkpatrick or Denard or whoever to play opposite of him just as well as he's playing, all of a sudden now this secondary can come alive. You may have something defensively because that guy right there, he's a ball player. And I was thoroughly impressed with him and have been throughout this season, man. He looks the part. He looks legit. And we'll see what happens. For the first time in a long time, you didn't get a sack on the quarterback. And that's a little disheartening because I think you got enough talent. You know, you made some mistakes. Lawson jumped off sides on the third down, gave the Steelers a first down. You know, you had the defensive breakdown, allowed Juju Smith-Schuster behind your defense wide open for a walk-in touchdown. Those things can't happen. You're not good enough offensively to overcome those types of issues and breakdowns. You got to be better. But all in all, thought it was a solid game by the Bengals. They're just not where they need to be. They missed Tyler Eifert, you know, on the offensive side of the football. They need to involve Mixon more. More, I tell you. He needs to be. And A.J. Green has to have more than 3 catches. That's not enough. That reminds me of Ken Zampese. He needs to have 8 to 12 targets, and he needs to have at least 5 to 7 catches in every game. Anything less is uncivilized and unexcusable. He's too good of a football player not to get the football in his hands at least 5 times a game, minimum. So with that being said, Steelers get it done. 5 field goals, 2 touchdowns, 29-14 victors over the Cincinnati Bengals. They go to 5-2, and right now they're looking like one of the best teams in the AFC conference, along with New England and still Kansas City. So that's the upper tier conglomerate right now, are 3 5-2 ball clubs, and one's going in a totally different direction than the other two, but still they're right up there with those guys. Cincinnati thought they had a chance to get back to 500 coming off the bye week, had 1-2 straight. A win here would have got them back to 3-3 and 500 on the season, and really gave them some confidence moving forward. You don't get the win, but you got a cupcake at home next week that'll give you a chance to get within a game of 500 yet again against Indy at home. Take care of that one, and then you'll have an opportunity to get back to 500 yet again, and we'll reconvene then and see if you're capable of getting back to 500, because that division, it's not over yet. Despite this loss, long from over. A lot of things can happen, and still a lot of football to be played. And I'm not counting anybody in either conference out except for the really bad teams. I've been singing the song that 24 teams have a legitimate shot at winning the Super Bowl this year. I haven't come off of that number yet. Over the next couple of weeks, I will. And you'll be one of the first teams off of the list if you don't get your act together. Next week is a great opportunity to do just that against a bad Indianapolis Colts team at home. If you're the Steelers, this is a quality win against a quality opponent in the division at the crib. Got to have it. You went out and got it. Now the question is, can you pack this up, take it on the road in a big one coming up next week? Or is it, next Sunday night on Sunday Night Football? That's going to be a fascinating watch. Lions will be coming off of a bye week at that time, and they're going to be juiced. They're going to be ginned up because they started out the season hot. They've hit a rough patch. They've all of a sudden now, with this bye week, gotten a lot healthier. They're going to come out a very engaged football team. So we'll see what the Steelers do with that. But nonetheless, Steelers get it done, 29-14, move to 5-2 on the season, take sole possession of first place in the AFC North, or maintain sole possession of first place, and distance themselves from everybody else. With the Ravens loss, with this Bengals loss, and the Browns, we don't even need to talk about them. You've put a little distance between you and everybody else in the division with this win. So if you're Cincinnati, got a chance to get to 3-4 next week. If you're Pittsburgh, big game on the road in Detroit. We'll see what happens there. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Monday Night Football overtime is the next time you'll see this face on your screen. Come and join me directly after Redskins and Eagles for a recap and breakdown of that football game. I will see you then. Until then, enjoy the game. You know I will. Win or lose, I'll enjoy it. It'll be much more enjoyable with a win, but I'll be there to break it all down when it meets its conclusion. Until then, have a good one.